Okay, so I'm an English guy, married to an Italian wife, so I have an Italian passport. I live in Thailand. I have a global territory, so everything outside the US, and I'm working for a US company. So quite an international view of the world. And my title today is Over 20 New Markets in 10 Months. It's actually about 10 and a half months since I wrote the presentation, and we're in like 22 markets now. It's evolving quite quickly. How do we get there? So the first thing we did was look at market prioritization. So how do I go to the business and say, these are the places I think we should go after first? How do I get my boss and his boss to agree that these are the right places to go after? And importantly for me, make sure I'm going after where I'm going to get the best return. So yeah, the world's a big place. Where do we go for first? And getting that internal alignment is really important. So I love my segmentation. I was the segmentation guy at Pernod, but we had to do one a bit differently because we've got a slightly different brand. So the first one, tequila market data. Well, that's normal. So ultra premium tequila growth, tequila market size, all that kind of stuff. But the middle one was interesting. So we looked at if we're going to get consumers interested, they're more likely to be interested if they've got an interest in basketball, because our founders are coming from basketball. So questions like, how many followers are Michael Jordan in that country? How many NBA followers in that country? So markets like India and Indonesia were suddenly really interesting because they had massive NBA followers, or Australia, for example. And finally, some economic data, which added together. And all those three things then gave me a score. We went through a ranking, and we literally had our top 8 for Europe, our top 3 for the Middle East, our top 5 for Asia. We knew precisely where we wanted to go after. And importantly, the bosses said, yeah, that's right. I'm happy that you go after those places as well. The next one is pricing. At the beginning, we just had our US price sheets, but we wanted to make the right balance between pricing. So you want every market's different. Every market has different taxes and customs duties and excise taxes and costs. Your competition will be priced differently. So, but you want to have a consistency with how your price works from a consumer level, but also a trade level as well, linking to the pricing point that was made earlier. So from a consumer pricing point, we wanted to make sure we were benchmarked correctly versus our competition. Brands like Patron, Plaza Azul, Don Julio, those kind of key brands that you'll see in many markets. But from a trade pricing perspective, we need to make sure that you sell in one country and it's that little bit cheaper than another country, and suddenly you see product flowing from one to another. Now, when you're a startup, you might say, I don't care about that. But in a few years' time, you'll be having a massive headache with parallel grey market goods going between the two. And I wanted to make sure we started off with a business that wasn't going to give me headaches later. So a lot of work was done on that, working on value chains and making sure we had a good set of pricing going on. And yeah, that was the original pricing we had for the US. But I think that's really worked. And distributors like it when they think you've got control of pricing as well. The next point was having a brand deck. And this might seem obvious, but there wasn't one, not at least a full one at the beginning. So pulling together the key information about your brand that lets the distributor, in this case, because you're selling initially to the distributor, love the brand and want to take it on in their portfolio. So yeah, these are some of the slides. These are our founders. This is the beautiful bottle. Sleek, contemporary, unique was how Michael Jordan gave the vision to his designer. How it's made and all the special details about the production, which is why the liquid tastes so good. The gold medals, for example, that it's won. Our plan on a page, simple, but instructing our distributors what to do. Where we're going to focus in on media. And like I say, it might be obvious, but at the time, imagine a brand that's been on a journey. You don't necessarily have everything all in one place in a 50-slide deck that you can share with a distributor. The next point was legal. And we wanted to have a way of immediately meeting with someone saying, here's our template, come and work with us. And it's a different template if you're dealing with India than you're dealing with Croatia. Different size markets, and you don't want Croatia to have to follow a 30-page contract, for example. So we created 2 templates with a lawyer that would work, and all that we would need to do then is adjust the names, the terms, payment terms, the length of the term, and a few small things, and that meant that we could make really quick decisions with our distributor. And another thing that was great is once you're fully embedded in how these things work, being on a phone call with a country that says, yeah, I have a problem with these 5 points, being able to say yes, 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 no, very quickly, it's a great way of doing business, and it leads to a certain empowerment as well, which is great, and distributors like working like that. The next point is brand guidelines. So you want to be able to let the market have the freedom to do stuff with your brand, but at the same time work on brand. So creating with our global marketing team sets of brand guidelines for how to run an event, how to do a great event, but how to create some POS. All the little things that the brand needs to show. What's the essence of the brand? What are the values of the brand? What are the color palettes? So this is just a few examples here, but there was some really great work done that we could then share with our distributors. And finally, a cleared up Dropbox that we could share completely with our distributors to say, here's access to the nice glassware, the great cocktails, the pictures of Michael Jordan you're allowed to use, all stuff like that was made it very simple to be working with our distributors. So suddenly it feels a bit like Tinder. And Ronan, who's here today, said, when you're dealing with a distributor, it's a bit like Tinder. I was like, what? So it's not just about whether you like them, because you're trying to find the best distributor of your market. It's about whether they like you or they love you as well. So you both have to swipe right. And then there's a match made in heaven, which is the match between you having a good partner in your market and them having a good brand for their portfolio. And sometimes you might think it's just about me trying to find the best distributor, but actually you need to really sell yourself to them as well at the same time, because they might have another tequila, they might have so many other products they're more interested in, and you want to make sure they're passionate about you. So yeah, Tinder is quite interesting and a great way of describing that relationship. And the final point I was going to make on this was about partners. So we're a small startup team internationally. We literally are 1.3 people going after 20 markets in 10 months. And one of the ways to do that is to help with certain partners that can help you do the job. So there's three specific call outs I'd like to make. So one is in Asia, where we've appointed a company called Eclipse Beverages that help us. And we've signed an agreement with them to help us find new distributors, but also they have specific distribution in China, Hong Kong, South Korea, and soon Japan. So that was a great partner we started with, and I actually met them at BCB Singapore 3 days into the job back on November 4th, I think it was. So that was a really good start at the very beginning. We've recently signed up Africa. We've got two partners in Africa, Route to Africa and Indu, which we'll be doing West Africa and East Africa. And rather than me having to sell to just Nigeria, for example, individually, these companies will sell to 15, 20 markets each and then manage the rest of the route to market for me. And finally, duty-free global. Duty-free is a complicated industry. Margins are difficult. You've got to go and visit all the different duty-free people. So we're paying a company to work with us called Duty-Free Global. I'm part of their team. They're part of my team. And we work together with them on making sure we get listed in the best airports around the world. And just some final thoughts on track. I think for me, it's been uplifting working with less processes. I'm used to big companies where there's massive amount of processes, but also you'll come unstuck if you don't make sure you create the governance as well. If you're just a bit more cowboy about it, sooner or later you'll come unstuck and there'll be problems. So you've got to make those processes yourself to make sure you're following the right rules. For me, it's about a balance. It's a balance between creating the right tools and ways of working versus not losing that and becoming big too fast. And actually you want to be like a startup and have the speed of a startup and be able to make those quick decisions like we've been doing. Another point is you want to choose the right distributors. Like you're going to be making decisions today that could be impacting the brand in 5, 10, 15 years time. And if you choose a bad distributor today, you're going to be working with them a long time, and then that will be a bit of a pain. And one of the ways to do that is within the network of people you know, like get those recommendations, get the people saying, I like working with this guy, but maybe be careful about that guy. And I think those kind of things to listen out for are crucial because, as I say, you'll be working with them a long time. And finally, a little luck helps. Along the way, suddenly you'll meet someone and it's like, oh, wow, that helped lead to the following few things that helped us. But like, we're also lucky to be working with a cool brand. It's a great liquid, a great bottle, a cool story. And I think not every distribution route to market is as easy as I think it's been. Like, it's been hard, but being in 20 markets in 10 months is probably a bit unusual. So we've had a bit of luck along the way as well.